I've been thinking about what type of an analogy to apply for a situation that I want to discuss. So I'm going to actually describe an elaborate scenario and a few things that I want to make ever so clear. This scenario applies to absolutely no country on either side that I'm about to describe. It does not apply to any country. It's a hypothetical situation. It may seem to be ridiculous, but just bear with me and let's move through this. Okay, here's the situation. You're a high-ranking intelligence officer. You, the person listening to this, in this situation, are a high-ranking militant officer that is responsible for a considerable portion of equipment. In this scenario, you, the person listening, are responsible for the strategic function of several ships and aircraft and perhaps some other vehicles. You, as the person that are responsible for this, also have access to a nuclear arsenal. Characteristically, there is a protocol in which this would be used. But, and again, this is a hypothetical situation. So let's just go through this quickly. I want to move on to other things, but I want to outline this, and I want you to understand what I'm getting at. All right, you are responsible for several ships and other vehicles. You're responsible for the entire arsenal aboard these. You generally equate with a percentage of a nation's defense planning. As the high-ranking officer that you are, you observe that one of your ships is in proximity to another country's signature weapons plant that produces Widget X. Widget X is a high-profile vehicle of some type that is generally well favored by the people of this nation. It's appeared on a definitive postage stamp, some commemorative stamps. It's been on a postal card. It's even been on an embossed stamp envelope years ago. It's Widget X of a defense plant, a signature defense plant, a plant that's known for its production. You, as the security officer, decide that you're going to utilize a ship in passing and you're going to destroy the manufacturing facility. You have arranged a protocol in which a launch sequence can be carried out with simply the press of a button. It is a 35 kiloton warhead, which is sufficient to destroy almost any surface target, almost any. Although it's a moderate yield, it's a very effective and potent yield. You decide to launch a missile at the push of a button. The missile barely flies over sea level. In fact, there's a rooster tail. Eyewitnesses say they saw a rooster tail moving across the water. That's where the turbulence causes the water to rise. You would see that in boat racing. So this missile with a 35 kiloton warhead destroys the signature defense plant that produces Widget X. A purple cloud can be observed above the ruins of the plant. The country in which this that lost this signature defense plant, their ships materialize offshore in ever greater numbers looking inward. A very, very significant act has occurred that one person was able to initiate at the push of a button because of their strategic placement. And again, I want to take time to tell you that this is no specific country. This is a hypothetical example. So I acknowledge that many of my friends are in other countries. And by friends, I mean acquaintances. I'm not trying to overemphasize or overplay the social pages. I'm simply stating that this is entirely a hypothetical example. But this is as if you were doing it. Maybe you wouldn't do this, you probably wouldn't, but I'm walking you through it as if you, the person listening to this, did. 35 kiloton warhead, moderate yield, destroyed a signature defense plant. Signature defense plant. Widget X, famous commodity, famous product. Purple cloud above the plant. You did it at the push of a button because you saw you had the opportunity to do so. Your government has, of course, many things to say to you. However, a formal request from their country, the country that manufactured widget X in their signature defense plant, a message is received that your presence is required, is requested at a meeting. And you, the person who launched this warhead, agrees, yes, you shall attend this meeting. So you go to the airport in which your flight is arranged, you travel to their country, you travel to their airport, a vehicle is arranged, you go to a parking garage, you drive into it, you have your badge so that people can identify you. It works in many countries. It's one badge, it's all, you just show it to them, and you are immediately allowed into the parking garage. You get out of your car, you go to an elevator, you travel to a corridor, you walk through several corridors, you walk into a lobby, a receptionist area, you show the receptionist your badge, and you are told to go into a conference room. In this conference room, you observe the leader of this nation, the nation in which you have performed a function against, and the leader stands up and he recites, or he summarizes, a trade agreement between your nation and theirs. He simply and briefly provides an affirmation of the trade agreement that is in place between your country and theirs. It is a brief speech. It's very brief. It's less than 2 minutes. And then the leader of the country sits down at a table, and somewhat adjacent to the leader are 3 other people. They're higher level functions of their country, and they rise in unison. There's a defense function, agricultural function, and an internal domestic function person. And of the 3 people, one speaks. And he looks at you, and he states that there is concern of your country, your country, and the agricultural exports, one of which is strawberries. There is concern because the warehouse that your country, your country owns, that is present in their country, stores strawberries. And of these strawberries, they believe that the temperature of the storage facility should be reduced by 2 degrees Celsius. You don't miss a beat. You respond quickly. No, the temperature is sufficient. We have experience with these strawberries. We know that this temperature is perfectly suitable for the purpose of stabilization on the long term, and it is not necessary to reduce the temperature to store these strawberries by 2 degrees Celsius. And this goes around 2 times and then 3 times. And on the 3rd time around, you finally state, yes, I acknowledge that the warehouse storage temperature can be lowered by 2 degrees Celsius. You are asked to sign a statement to that effect. You are not agreeing to lower the warehouse temperature by 2 degrees Celsius. You simply acknowledge that it can be. And you have an opportunity to state so later in press releases that your country simply acknowledges that the warehouse temperature for the storage of strawberries can be lowered by 2 degrees Celsius. At the conclusion of this meeting, you are informed that you are under house arrest. You may go anywhere in their country that you wish to. Everything about you is known. In fact, you have been there before on previous occasions. So you travel, and every eye is upon you, and yet nothing is said. There's a purple cloud over a defense facility in their country. You went to a meeting, a conference, and were informed that there is concern over the storage of strawberries. Hey kids, welcome to Gannett. Well, you know what? It's getting late. I'm actually kind of tired. I'm gonna go get some rest. Yeah. It, it's a hard monologue to outdo. And this is actually the third take. The other two are unspeakable, absolutely bloody unspeakable, and let's just call it a night.